Hi, good afternoon, everyone. The aim of this lecture is basically to go ahead and start solving the past year questions of IIT. In particularly, we will be looking at IIT JAM Microeconomics 2022. Also, wherever required, I will be taking you through the concepts of this exam and through the concepts of what kind of questions usually come in microeconomics through this syllabus. You will see that a lot of questions are from demand supply elasticity. So you need to make your basics very, very strong, right? Such questions we have never seen in any entrance exam which talk about the stability of demand and supply. They are expected to be very basic questions, but they have gone ahead and asked you questions based on elasticity, income elasticity, cross price elasticity, the stability of demand and supply. So you have to make sure that those basic and intermediate videos were well done, right? Now let's look at this first question. So it says, when the supply curve is backward bending and the demand curve is downward sloping, these are the two equilibria given to you, point M and point N, which of the following statement is correct? Now, first of all, let me explain you a concept of stable versus unstable equilibrium quickly. So when we talk about stable equilibrium, a stable equilibrium is any equilibrium such that when you start from any price, you can start from any price, you will reach equilibrium price. That is called a stable equilibrium. An unstable equilibrium is any equilibrium such that when you start from any price, you will not be able to reach the equilibrium price. That becomes an unstable equilibrium. Let's take an example. Supposedly, I tell you that so I am taking from this diagram point N. More or less on point N, the supply curve is either horizontal or we will take it to be a little upward sloping. So just consider an upward sloping general supply curve. This is the supply curve. And let's say this is my demand curve, right? I understand that supply and demand are meeting at point E. So this is my price and this is my quantity. I am not interested in this. This is fine. This is where the two are intersecting with each other. But the question is, what happens if I take any price which is not the equilibrium price? Let's say I take a price like P1. What happens at this price? At this price, we see that demand is more and supply is less. So what we notice here is that demand is more than supply. We know whenever there will be excess demand in the market, what is going to happen to the prices? There is going to be a movement along prices. Supply is less. Take an example of potatoes. Some time back, or for that matter, onions also had this problem sometimes back. When suppliers were not supplying the product, there was enough demand in the market, but nobody was willing to supply it. They had just kept these things in the warehouse. What started happening? We started seeing shooting up of the prices. Prices will increase whenever supply will be less, because there will be limited supply in the market. More people want that product. They will be willing to pay more and more price for it. So price will slowly start increasing. When price will increase, you will move up the supply curve. Price is increasing. When price will increase, you will move up the demand curve. Demand will decrease until you go ahead and you reach this point of equilibrium, where you get exactly this price P here. So when you start from a disequilibrium in the market, you are able to go ahead and hit the equilibrium in the market. This is an example of a stable equilibrium. Now let's reverse this scenario. So what will we do? We will go ahead and we will take a downward sloping supply curve. Just say, for example, let's take this as the supply curve. And we will take a downward sloping demand curve, just like what happened at point M. I had a downward sloping supply curve and I had a downward sloping demand curve. So I am going to take both as downward sloping. Again, demand and supply are equal at point E. This is the price. But I am going to go ahead and ask the question, what happens when I reach any other price, like P1? What is happening at P1? At P1, we have supply which is greater than demand. So at P1, supply is more than demand. When there is enough supply in the market, there are 100 kgs of onions in the market. People are just demanding 20 kgs. So when there is enough supply in the market, but nobody is demanding that product, what will happen to the price? The price will further go down. So if supply is more and demand is less, this will go ahead and reduce the price further. And if price reduces further, then supply and demand, they are going to act accordingly. So when price starts falling further, you will go below. You will not go towards the equilibrium. You will go below from this P1. So when you start from a disequilibrium situation, you don't restore to equilibrium. You are not able to go back towards this price P. That means this is an unstable equilibrium. So any unstable equilibrium is where when you start away from the equilibrium points, you are not able to reach the equilibrium back. Stable equilibrium is when you start from a disequilibrium point, you are able to reach the point of equilibrium back. So if you go back and check, they have just made this backward bending to check these two concepts in the same point. I can very well go ahead and I could have made this into a particular market. I could have very well changed the question and given you two separate demand supply curves or four separate demand supply curves and asked you stable, unstable equilibrium, different ways that you can expect these kind of questions. So maybe the next time I can go ahead and make an upward sloping demand curve and upward sloping supply curve of a product. And now I can go ahead and ask you, is this going to be a stable equilibrium or not? So you are supposed to go ahead and you are supposed to analyze these situations. You're supposed to think what happens under other different kind of situations also. So in this case, here I have a downward sloping. This is what the other case was. That is an unstable equilibrium. And here I have an upward sloping. So it's a stable equilibrium. So the answer to this question is only N is the stable equilibrium. Mark this answer. But additionally, make sure that you understand the concept of stable and unstable equilibrium very well, because they can just flip the question and ask in multiple ways. ways possible. Okay, now come to the next question. This is question number 10. I am just doing micro for today. Then in the next class, I will take macro and then stats. So we will go in a sequence. A long run cost function for a product exhibits economies of scale. Let us just try to understand what is the concept of economies of scale. So basically, economies of scale is when, as you increase your production, your cost should decrease. And this cost can only be an average cost. On an average, if your cost decreases, as you increase your production, that is called economies of scale. That is where you get benefit by increasing your production level. This economies of scale is supposed to be a long run concept. Because, when I have to scale up or scale down, I can't just be scaling one factor. And in short run, I have only some factors that can be scaled. Scaling will always mean scaling all the inputs. So economies of scale is always a long run concept. Now, if you really think about this, then let's talk about a perfectly competitive firm. We know that these are our short run average cost functions. SAC1, SAC2, SAC3, SAC4, SAC5, and so on. These short run cost functions were drawn for different level of capital because capital was fixed. So if you give me capital equal to 1 unit, maybe this is my short run cost function. If you give me capital at 2, maybe this is my short run cost function. K at 3, K at 4, and K at 5, and so on. The long cost function could envelop these short run average cost functions. So it was this is enveloping the short run average cost functions. So this long run cost function, it also formulated this U shape. If I look here, when this LAC is decreasing, this is where, this is my Q, this is long run average cost. So as I'm increasing the level of my output from Q1 to Q2 to Q3, so on, my cost is continuously decreasing. That means here I have economies of scale. At this point, my LAC is minimum. This is where I will actually operate for my profit maximization. So this is where my LAC is minimum. This is what we want to minimize. So this is where we have constant returns to scale. And if you notice here, what is happening? As my output is increasing from Q5 to Q6 to Q7 and so on, my cost is also increasing. So if my cost is increasing, I have diseconomies of scale. So let's go back to this concept. This said a long run cost function for a product exhibits economies of scale, which means it is average cost of production increases when output increases. No, we want it to decrease as output increases. So the answer to this question should be the production function is decreasing returns to scale. No, it should be increasing returns to scale. So average cost of production falls as output increases. Yes, this is the correct answer. I should be in this phase. This is where I should be, right? So the correct answer to this question is C. Average cost of production falls as output increases. So you see that in one marker, the kind of questions that came were pretty basic. The only thing that you have to do is to be very, it's not a bad thing if you just have to see the properties of different kind of market forms and utility functions, and you're able to score marks in that. So what I would suggest you to do is, as homework, go back, make a table for different market forms, and write down each and every property of that market form. So if I start with perfect competition, just say, and please don't underestimate monopolistic. There is just one lecture that I have done on monopolistic. You must do that. So when I talk about perfect competition, for example, then first of all, I will make notes of short run. I must know what happens in the short run. Each and everything. I must know what is the P equal to AR equal to MC equal to MR. And I must know that this is my equal to MC here. This is my quantity. I must know that in short run, the aim is only to cover variable cost. So if you ask me, when will I shut down in short run? I will do if my price is not able to cover my variable cost. If my price is able to cover my variable cost, I will continue in short run. But in long run, I want my price to cover the average total cost. So I want my price to be such that I cover the min of ATC. That is what I just mentioned here. I will be operating here for perfectly competitive firm. So each and every property, why is marginal cost curve called the supply curve of the firm? That property, right? And then other essential things also. You need to go ahead and you need to do each and every property. Same in monopoly. Why is MR equal to MC? Where do you get the AR curve from? If AR and MR are linear, let's say for example this. If AR is, let's say AR is nothing but price, it is A minus Q. You find your MR yourself. What is the relationship between AR and MR? One is half the slope of the other. Each of this thing, each of the small property must be done for these one mark questions. What is first degree price discrimination? What is the consumer surplus in that? Second degree price discrimination, third degree price discrimination, right? What are the properties of monopolistic market? How does it club both monopoly and perfect competition? You should know that. So that lecture is important. That properties itself will cover your one mark questions very well. Now come to the next part, question number 21. This is a question just testing your basic elasticity, if you know what elasticity is or not. So we say, it says that an analyst estimated the following demand function for electric vehicles itself. So QE is equal to 0.75 minus 1.5 PE plus 2.5 PF minus 0.5 PB plus 3.2 I. Let us go ahead and find what will be del QE by del PE. If you differentiate this with respect to PE, you will just get minus 1.5. Del QE by del PF, you will get 2.5. Del QE by del PB, you will get minus 0.5. Del QE by del I, you will get 3.2. Just by looking at this, you should be able to give the properties of this function, the properties of this good. So the good that I'm talking about here is the electric vehicle. This elasticity is negative. Matlab, for sure, it is not a given good. It has to be a normal good. Its price elasticity is negative. So we understand that. It's a normal good. It's not a given good. Then I see that this price elasticity is coming positive. So when price of one commodity, not elasticity, just differentiation. When price of one commodity, ye F kya hai? This is the average unit price of vehicle using fossil fuel. So when this increases, the demand of this increases. Just think about this. When price of tea increases, the demand of coffee increases. What are these goods? They are substitute goods. That means E and F are substitute goods. Then come to the next one. This is a negative sign. So when PB increases, QE decreases. Again, let's think about this. When price of ink increases, demand for ink decreases. Ink is used in pen, so demand of pen also decreases. So the relationship between this and this is coming negative when they are complementary goods. That means here, if the cross price elasticity or cross price effect is negative, they must be complementary goods. So I've got that E and B are complementary goods. What is B? B is the unit price of battery. Of course, battery and electric vehicles have to be complementary to each other. And finally, I see that this is also positive, which means it is normal and not inferior good. Because as my income is increasing, demand is increasing. So if they would have asked somewhere in the options about these properties, we should be well thorough with how the sign can enable us to estimate the properties of different kind of goods. Now let's go to the next part. So they are saying that they have given us the values. What are the values given to us? PE is 6.5. You put 6.5 here. PF is 4.5. You put 4.5 here. PB is 0.5. You put 0.5 here. I is 10 lakh. You put 10 here. So what will come out to be your QE? After you put down these values, let's do that. 0.75 minus 1.5 into 6.5. Do it with me. Plus 2.5 into 4.5 minus 0.5 into 0.5 plus 3.2 into 10. This gave me 34. So we have got the value of the demand for QE. But now they're asking us, find income elasticity and cross price elasticity. So let's do that. First of all, what will be income elasticity? Income elasticity will be how E changes as I changes into initial value of I by initial value of E. So how E changes as I changes is given to you as 3.2. This is what we found out. Initial value of income is given to us as 10. And initial value of E is what we have found out as 34. So if we solve this, we will get the answer as 0.941. Very simple. Now do the next part. They're asking cross price elasticity with respect to PF. Mane this one. So let's do that. So elasticity with respect to F is going to be how E changes as price of F changes into F by E. So this is what I've got as 2.5. So I'm going to put 2.5 here. And PF is given to us as 4.5 and E I just found out as 34. So if you solve this, you will get 0.3308. All of you have to solve it. देख कर नहीं आएगा. अगर लिखोगे नहीं, you will never understand. You have to try. Don't look at solutions in the first place. I request you, when you come for the next class, try it yourself first and then come. This is a rechecking class in a way, right? So I have got my answer as 0.94 and 0.33. That's the answer to these questions. Okay, now come to the next question. Again, very basic concepts like elasticity of substitution is getting tested. So which means that they are not going to test very difficult things, but they are going to go ahead and test your logic. I'll tell you where logic is used here. I don't want to go ahead and do this question directly in log form. If I do this question directly in the log form, I will never be able to talk about returns to scale. यहाँ पे lambda L करना, lambda K करना, that all will be very difficult. So I need to rewrite this production function. And I am going to use this property that log m to the power n is n log m. So if they have given me log q is equal to beta by alpha log L to the power alpha plus K to the power alpha, I can go ahead and take this in the power. Let's do that. What will you get? Log Q is equal to log L to the power alpha plus K to the power alpha to the power beta by alpha. Now, do you see log here also and log here also? Which means you had taken log on both sides. So you can take this log out. Very simple. Just take it to the power e if you want. Otherwise, directly also, you can just take the log out. And you will get q is equal to L to the power alpha plus K to the power alpha whole to the power b. This is a much better form of writing this production function. Now, let's say I will replace L with lambda L, K with lambda K, and I will write this function. What will I get? Lambda L to the power alpha plus lambda K to the power alpha whole to the power beta by alpha. This will be lambda to the power alpha L to the power alpha plus lambda to the power alpha K to the power alpha whole to the power beta by alpha. Take lambda to the power alpha common. L to the power alpha plus K to the power alpha whole to the power beta by alpha. This is going to be lambda to the power beta, L to the power alpha plus K to the power alpha whole to the power beta. Isn't this my original production function? I can rewrite this. Lambda to the power beta, function of L and K. This is what my original production function was. So this is definitely homogeneous because I could pull out lambda scale factor. Its degree of homogeneity is this beta, isn't it? So when it says its degree of homogeneity is beta by alpha, that's wrong. Achha, this degree of homogeneity only tells me the returns to scale. So you can make a note of this, please. That the degree of homogeneity tells about the returns to scale. Why? Because returns to scale basically tells me what happens when I go ahead and I scale my inputs, how my output is going to react. So here I scaled my inputs by lambda, and my output scaled by lambda to the power beta. That's the returns to scale. So if your beta is greater than 1, it is increasing returns to scale. If beta is equal to 1, constant returns to scale. And if beta is less than 1, decreasing returns to scale. So on that aspect, can I say that this first part is wrong? Because not beta by alpha, but beta heads in returns to scale. Now look at the second one. If beta is greater than 1, increasing returns to scale, less than 1, decreasing returns to scale. Correct. Now look at these two parts. The elasticity of substitution is. So let us just find it for this one. So what is your production function? Q is equal to L to the power alpha plus K to the power alpha whole to the power beta by alpha. Write down the elasticity of substitution. You can mention it like this or sigma. This is d ln x2 by x1 upon d ln MRTs. For once and for all, I would like to go ahead and I would like to clarify this. Dekho, when we talk about the numerator, then in the numerator you have this. यहाँ पे अगर labor ले रहे हो और यहाँ capital, then numerator says x2 by x1, which means this by this. So this is d ln k by l. But when you find MRTS, this is x1, x2, which means upon d ln MRTS LKL. When you write this MRTS, it will be this actually. Marginal product of labor by marginal product of capital. Don't get confused. MRTS में marginal product of labor by capital होता है, x1 by x2. But in elasticity of substitution, the numerator is k by l, right? So ये MRTS भी k नहीं है, but the formula for it is MPL by N. Okay, now let's find MPL and MPK. So my Q is L to the power alpha plus K to the power alpha whole to the power beta by. So MPL is how Q changes as labor changes. I have to differentiate this with respect to L. When I do that, what will I get? The power will come down, beta by alpha. This whole thing will be beta by alpha minus 1 into, I have to apply chain rule, differentiation of only this. So it is going to be alpha, L to the power alpha minus 1. Do MPK. This will be how Q changes as K changes. Again, power will come down, whole to the power minus 1 into differentiation of this. So alpha, I'm just applying basic chain rule. Now when you will do MPL by MPK, you will just divide these two things. So you will notice that actually ये सारा तो cancel हो जाएगा. You will only be left with L by K to the power alpha minus 1. So don't worry about these big production functions. 90% of those things will get cancelled once you apply the chain, right? So this is my MRTS. Now, in MRTS, whenever you want to find elasticity of substitution, you will see that MRTS will be a function of K by L. What are these functions called? They are called as homothetic function. Please make a note of that. If your MRS in utilities is a function of the two goods that you're using, X and Y, and your MRTS is a function of K by L, these are called homothetic functions. Homothetic functions are those functions where the slope, so if I draw a line through the origin, this line through the origin has a constant K by L ratio. Maybe K is equal to 1/2 of L, or K is equal to 2 times L. It has a constant K by L ratio. So when you draw a line through the origin, it has a constant K by L ratio. Now you draw isoquants on it. You get Q equal to 10 ka isoquant, Q equal to 20 ka isoquant, Q equal to 30 ka isoquant. As long as I am on the same line, ye K by L ratio is the same. If I see that this MRTS is same, which means I am able to get parallel slopes, SA. These are homothetic. Slope nikala, isoquant ka, that is MRTS. It is a function of K by L, because it is passing through the same line through the origin, and MRTS is same. That is homothetic function. So this is a homothetic function. अब बस इसको flip करना है, K by L में लिखना है, बहुत easy है. If I say 4 to the power 1 and 1 by 4 to the power minus 1, दोनों same चीजें तो हैं. Negative power will always reciprocate this. So 4 to the power 1 and 1 by 4 to the power minus 1 are the same thing. So I can rewrite this as MRTS is equal to K by L to the power, I've just multiplied the power with 1. So K by L to the power 1 minus alpha. ये MRTS हो गया. Now take log on both sides. So ln MRTS is equal to ln K by L to the power 1 minus alpha. Just take 1 minus alpha common. So 1 minus alpha ln K by L is equal to ln MRTS. अगर differentiate भी कर दोगे, D भी लगा दोगे, nothing changes. Okay, this is a constant. So D of ln K by L upon D of MRTS will be 1 upon 1 minus alpha. Make sure that you only find MRTS. If this is homothetic, yahi se K by L aa gaya na. Why do I have to do D ln K by L separately? I will just apply log on both sides and do a differentiation on both sides. अच्छा, differentiate real में नहीं करना है. Many students start differentiating MRTS by taking log. That will be very complicated. I just have to find this one. So the answer is 1 upon 1 minus alpha, which means this is correct and this is incorrect. Now this actually came in a multiple choice question. It should have been a multiple select question. That is why marks were given to all students. That was the lucky thing here, right? But next time it can come as an MSQ. So what we learn from here is that basic concepts like what is elasticity of substitution. Acha, is baar aise aaya. But again, if you go to the lectures, we have found elasticity of substitution for complementary goods, for Cobb-Douglas, for substitute. We have done it for all three kinds, right? And for this general case also we did. So I want you to go ahead which is a constant CES function के लिए किया था ना, constant elasticity of substitution. I want you to revise all these concepts, all 4 cases, right? And we saw how different values of elasticity of substitution can give us different kind of production functions. So again, today's work is to revise this, revision of this, right? Okay, come to the next question. Consider a pure exchange economy with 2 goods, good X and Y. Ravi and Suraj are 2 individuals with utility function this. So do you see that they have they're trying to test you for how good you are with understanding that they are just doing a monotonic transformation of the original production function. मतलब अगर मैं इसको rewrite करूं कैसे, तो I can rewrite this as UR is equal to log XY to the power beta. मतलब मेरा original utility function can also be X to the power beta, Y to the power beta. And this is much easy to work with if I don't have log. And it will give you the same answer. Because these are monotonic transformation. MRS iska nikalo ya iska nikalo. You will get the same MRS. So in that sense, even if you know what monotonic transformation is and you work with this, you're fine. जैसे अगर इसकी जगह पे someone would have said me find competitive equilibrium, then I knew that this is a Cobb-Douglas function and यहाँ पे x star होता है alpha upon alpha plus beta m by px. So this would have been beta upon beta plus beta income by px. So this would have been half m by px. This would have been the demand of individual one. Without solving, we would have known this. So you should be well thorough with monotonic transformations also. Okay, let's come back to the question. So you're given this utility function. Let me show you how to do it. Let's do it here. So UR is beta log XY. पहले ध्यान से जहां पे भी UR है, so that you don't get confused later on, make it to XR and YR. Now find MRS of individual R. Either find for this or find for X to the power R, Y to the power R, whole to the power beta. You will get the same answer. So what is MRS? It is MUX by MUY. Differentiate this with respect to X. You will get beta into 1 by, if I differentiate this, I am showing you here. So beta log x y का हो जाएगा xy only, or xy का differentiation when you will do with respect to x, you will get y. Right? Alternatively, if you would have done for this utility function, xy to the power beta का अगर करते, what would you have got? Beta xy to the power beta minus 1 into y. Yeah. Now do for MUY, what will you get? Beta log xy could have been 1 by xy. Differentiation of y will be x. So this gets cancelled, this gets cancelled, and MRS will be y by x. Now do for this one, ekbari. So it will be beta xy to the power beta minus 1, or xy का हो जाएगा x. When you divide these two, यहाँ से भी MRS आएगा y by x. So what I mean to say here is whether you go ahead and find MRS using method 1 or you find MRS using method 2, you will get the same answer. It is not going to change. It's the same thing. Okay, so I've just found out the MRS for individual R. Now find MRS for individual S. Again, if you look at this utility function, US, this is xy to the power alpha. If you want, you can take log and simplify it, or you can do this directly, up to you. So what is going to be MRS of S? MUX by MUY. When you differentiate this with respect to X, what will you get? Alpha X by Y to the power alpha minus 1 into, with respect to Y, you will X, you will get 1 by Y. And when you differentiate this with respect to Y, what will you get? Alpha X by Y to the power alpha minus 1. Y is coming in the denominator. So Y का differentiation होगा minus 1 by Y square. So it will be minus X by Y. This will get cancelled, 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 cancelled. So you will get 1 by Y into Y square by minus X. So you will get minus Y by. Again, I am saying, make sure that you write S everywhere here. This is the MRS of individual S. This is the MRS of individual R. If you don't write this correctly, then when you equate to find Pareto efficiency, we will be in a trouble. Okay, now this was saying find the contract curve. So contract curve equation क्या होती है? When MRS of individual R is equal to MRS of individual S. This is what the contract curve is. So MRS of individual R is YR by XR is equal to S का होगा minus YS by XS. Just solve this. What will you get? You will get YR XS is equal to minus XR YS. So you will get YR XS plus XR YS equal to 0. Now, once you have solved this, you have to just write everything in terms of R. If you see the options, it is in terms of individual R. S kahin nahi hai. So I have to just make sure that this S is removed from everywhere. We can easily do that. How will we do that? If you go ahead and you see, we know that XR plus XS is A. So instead of XS, I can write A minus XR. Similarly, it is given that YR plus YS is B. So instead of YS, I will write B minus YR into XR equal to 0. So when you will rewrite this equation, what will you get? You will go ahead and get A YR minus XR YR plus B XR minus XR YR equal to 0. This is what you will get. And when you start solving this, it will give you A YR plus B XR minus 2 XR YR equal to 0. So this will be your answer. So the answer to this question is going to be A YR plus B XR minus 2 XR YR, which means option number. Quickly, let's write down the takeaways from this question. What are the takeaways of this question? The takeaways of this question are that first, we should know what is a contract curve. A contract curve shows us the Pareto efficient points of all the individuals. A Pareto efficient point of individual is where I can equate MRS of individual 1 to MRS of individual B. Not always. If it would have been a min function, just min of x, y hota. So individual B ke liye we would just have equated x equal to y. So his equation would have been xb equal to y. But in this case, I know where the way that the curves are given to me, I know that the contract curve will have MRS A equal to MRS. Achha, if you quickly look and glance through it, you will see that MRS of R, individual R, this is a function of y by R. And MRS of individual X, S, that's also y by X, S only. So which means that the slopes are a function of y by S. So this is fine to us, right? The way that the slopes have come up are fine. This is the only way to solve these. These are my continuous functions. These are neither my substitute good function nor perfect complementary good function. So I am able to use MRS A equal to MRS B concept, right? That's the first takeaway. So your homework from this is to go ahead and find equation of contract curve for different cases. You have to do this, all of you. Take function min, just do it. Take one of the function as substitute good and one as min, do it. Take one as quasi-linear, one as min, do it. So we have done multiple such cases in our advanced lectures. You are supposed to go ahead and try most of them, okay? Achha, then second takeaway from this question is how to go ahead and use endowment back in the contract curve so that the entire contract curve is written in terms of single individual. That is also what you're required to do. And the last takeaway from this question is how they can go ahead and give you monotonic transformations of the function, and you should be able to work with those also. Okay. Now come to the next question. Which of the following statements are correct? And they have given game of two individuals, A and B. Now, what I want you to do here is understand that although this is a very basic question, it may happen that in exam, next time, we may be given mixed strategies. So, please go ahead and solve few questions. Because simultaneous came this time now, so you should solve few questions on mixed strategy equilibrium and few on sequential game. Bas, itna aur karna hai. Right? Okay, let's come to this game. Actually, this is the game of battles. We already know how to solve it. So when Mary goes for movie, between movie and football, 1 is greater than 0, so payoff is 1. When Mary goes for football, between movie and football, 2 is greater than 0, so payoff is 2. When John goes for movie, between 2 and 0, 2 is greater, so 2. When John goes for football, between 0 and 1, 1 is greater, so 1. So the two Nash equilibriums we have are movie, and football. We again know this one, prisoner's dilemma, classic problem. So when you go for not confessing, between -1 and 0, 0 is greater. Between -9 and -5, -5 is greater. Between -1 and 0, 0 is greater. Between -9 and -5, minus. So what we see, this is the only Nash. We have discussed this in class that this is Nash, but not Pareto. This is Pareto equilibrium, right? You should remember this. So the answer to this question is in game A, both movie, football are equilibrium. And in game B, confess is the Nash equilibrium. So D is correct. Okay. Come to the next question. The short run production function is given to you as Q is equal to 200 plus 0.2 L square minus 0.0004 L cube. How do I know this is a short run production function? Of course, I see fixed cost. Not fixed cost, sorry. I see that they're talking about average variable cost. So that is why I know that this is a short run production function. Ye to production function, right? Then they say that the wage rate is 140 and the number of labor is 100. The question that they've asked is find marginal cost and average variable cost. Achha, okay. Let us first begin by finding marginal cost. To do that, I want to use a formula. Very, very simple. Each individual is paid money according to his marginal product, according to his product. So what happens in this case is that W by P, the real wage that any individual gets, that is equal to the marginal product. So that should be equal to MP. How do I find marginal product? देखो, ये production function मुझे दिया हुआ. This is given to. So to find marginal product, I just have to find how Q changes as L changes. If I differentiate this with respect to L, what will I get? 0.2 into 2L minus 0.004 into 3L square. This is what I will get. This is my marginal product of labor. And they have gone ahead and they have given you that L is 100. So if you put 100 here and you put 100 here, then you should be able to get a value. So you will get this marginal product as 28. Just solve this on your own. Okay? Just put 100 here and 100 here. You will get marginal product as 28. So we have been able to solve that marginal product as 20. What is the wage given? It's given 140. By P is equal to 20. So P क्या हो गया? 140 divided by 28, which is going to be 5. We use the property that marginal cost is supply curve of firm, which means P should be equal to MC for this firm. So marginal cost will also be 5. So we solve that the marginal cost of the firm, this is 5. That's the first thing. This is what you have gone ahead and solved. The marginal cost of the firm is 5. Now let's talk about the average variable cost. Okay. So what is average variable cost? Average variable cost will be total variable cost by output. Okay. What is total variable cost? It is nothing but the cost you incur on your variable input. What is your variable input? Labor. So each unit of labor gets W and I am incurring on L units of labor. This is my total variable cost divided by the quantity. So each unit of labor, the wage rate that I am giving is given to me as 140. The number of labors given to me are 100 divided by Q. Now this Q is given to you. What is this Q exactly given to you as? This. A function diya hua hai na. In this Q I can put L and get the value of quantity. So the Q is given to me as Q is equal to 200 plus 0.2 L square minus 0.0004 L. Put L equal to 100. So in here you will get 100, yahan pe 100. You will get the value of Q as 1800. Just put and check, okay? So after you get this Q as 1800, what is going to happen? I'm going to say that this is 140 into 100 by 80. And this is going to give me 7.7. So the answer to this question is 5 and 7.7. So you see, the question is very, very simple. The question is just asking me about MC and ABC. But again, they are testing more of your logic. Do you remember this formula? Do you remember that the real wage is equal to the marginal productivity? Each labor is paid according to his marginal product. Do you remember that MC is the supply curve of the firm? So I can equate P equal to MC. Do you remember that AVC is TVC by Q and TVC is the cost incurred on your variable input? It will be done in just. Okay. So now what we will do is we will take a 5 to 10 minutes break. It's 3:11. We meet back at 3:20 and then we will do the remaining questions starting from question number 36 of this paper. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Let's start with the next question now. This is the question on gain elasticity. So it's very interesting that they give so much importance to elasticity. But this uses the concept of differentiation. So let's just do that. So it says that the demand and supply function are given to you. And we know that whenever we talk about equilibrium, then we know that demand and supply must be equal. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to equate demand, which is a function. So it says that demand is a function of Px and I, price and income. So I'm going to equate the demand equation to the supply equation. And supply is a function of Px and advertisement expenditure. So G of Px and A. Now, you must go ahead and you must know how to differentiate these functions. So f is a function of Px and I. So if I have to do a total differentiation, f changes with respect to Px, dPx, plus f changes with respect to I, di, g changes with respect to Px, dPx, g changes with respect to A. Okay. Now just go ahead and do one thing. Just bring Px on the same side. So I will get del f by del Px minus del g by del Px, Px, dPx equal to del g by del A, dA minus del f by del I. This is what I have been able to get. Achha, once I get this, then can I go ahead and can I solve for the first part? It says, let's leave the first. Talk about the second first. It says how price changes as A changes. Okay. So if I have to ask how price changes as A changes, it means that I have to put DI equal to 0. That is what the question is asking me to do. So just go ahead and put DI equal to 0 once. What will you get? So say put DI equal to 0. When you put this equal to 0, you will get del F by del Px minus del G by del Px dPx equal to del G by del A dA. So you will get del Px by del A equal to del G by del A upon del F by del Px minus del G by del Px. This is what you are going to go ahead and you're going to get. So if you go ahead and you solve this, what is going to happen now? This is your answer, how price changes as A changes. That means this one. So do you think that it's the same thing? It is. If you see numerator is del G by del A and denominator is del F by del Px minus del G by del Px, which means that we have gone ahead and we have got the same answer. So this is exactly matching the scenario. So this is the correct thing. Now, once I have gone ahead and I have found out how to solve this, can I find the elasticities? I can. Elasticity is very easy to find from here. So what do I do for finding the elasticity? Let's put down the formula of elasticity. And when we do that, you will get elasticity of Px with respect to A will be how P changes as A changes into A by Px. And I have already gone ahead and I have found this value. ये वाला तो निकाल ही दिया है. Here, this is what the value is. So I can easily go ahead and I can multiply this by A by Px. And if I multiply this by A by Px, I have been able to get the value of elasticity. So I get that value. So just multiply it. This is my answer. Now, if you notice in the question, they have gone ahead and they have just molded this question by putting Q's everywhere. No problem. We can also go ahead and put Q. So what will I do? I will just say that, okay, now let us just rewrite this equation. And ये A ऊपर है ना, तो A को ऊपर कर देते हैं. PX denominator में है, तो PX को we will keep it in the denominator. And then I will go ahead and I will just have Q's everywhere. So PX is in the denominator. I don't have to put 1 by PX. Just PX in the denominator. And now I'm just going ahead and dividing by Q everywhere. This is the only thing that I have done according to what they're asking me in the question. So they have written in terms of Q. I also want to write in terms of Q. That is why I just divided everywhere by Q. And otherwise, A by P was already there. So now if you go ahead and you notice, this is exactly what this option is. So this is correct. A is also correct and B is also correct. Now let's talk about option C. When I talk about option C, this asks me elasticity of P with respect to I. अब यहीं से देख लो एक बारी जरा. If I go back to my total differentiation and I have to find elasticity with respect to I, then I will put dA equal to 0 here. If I will put dA equal to 0, so numerator, what will I get? I will have this now. So if I just put dA equal to 0, what is going to happen? I am going to go ahead and get this. Here, I will get minus del F by del I dI, because I'm putting dA equal to 0. And here in the numerator, then I will get minus del F by del I. और A की जगह पे I बन जाएगा, because it is with respect to I, with respect to income. So if you notice, I have minus del F by del I in the numerator, and here they have given me del G by del I in the numerator. This is incorrect. Del G by del I was there for the first one. Here I have del F by del I. This is not correct. Finally, it says the sign of dP by dA does not depend on del G by del A. Incorrect, because we just showed that this depends on this. This is coming in the numerator. This is also incorrect. So the correct options are A and, come to the next question, please. A monopolist is given, you're given a function here. Again, I love how they have gone ahead and used the concept of elasticity yet again. So which means this concept is very important. So they have given Q is equal to PE. Okay. E is the elasticity here. Can I rewrite this thing as log Q is equal to E log P? Note that if I differentiate on both sides, then d ln Q by d ln P comes down to E. And exactly this is the definition of elasticity. This is the definition of elasticity. That elasticity is percentage change in quantity due to percentage change in price. And you can write that as d ln Q by d ln P. So which means this is correct. This is what they have mentioned here. Now it says that PM is under monopoly price and PC is perfect competition price. And CM and CS are the consumer surplus under monopoly and perfect competition. Which of the following is correct? Okay. Now, first statement. So you have to understand that for monopoly, how do you find equilibrium? Equilibrium is attained where MR equal to MC. Okay. The function given to us is Q equal to P to the power E. Now my question to you is, what will be your total revenue? Total revenue is price into quantity. Always write total revenue in terms of quantity. This is a rule. Always write total revenue in terms of quantity. So this is going to be from here, P will be Q to the power 1 by E. So this is going to give you Q to the power 1 by E into Q, which means Q to the power 1 by E plus 1. This is your total revenue. What is marginal revenue? How total revenue changes as quantity changes. It is going to be 1 by E plus 1, Q to the power 1 by E. And you will differentiate it. This is what you will get. Now, after I get this, ये मेरा marginal revenue की जगह पे I can put that this is 1 by E plus 1, Q to the power 1 by E equal to, what is marginal cost given to me? Marginal cost is given to me as alpha. So I will put marginal cost as alpha. Currently, I am solving this for a monopolist. मतलब कि क्या है? यहाँ पर मैं MM लिख दूंगी. हर जगह पे I will put M here. This is a monopolist. Note that this part, Q to the power 1 by E, it can be replaced by price. It was just the price, na? P equal to Q to the power 1 by E was given. So which means that I can rewrite this as 1 by E plus 1 into PM equal to alpha using this equation. That Q to the power 1 by E is just price. Okay, from here I will get PM equal to alpha into E upon 1 plus E. This is my answer. Now, last time, actually, one of my student, he solved it correctly. Okay. And after solving, he just marked this as the answer. Please be very sure, be very alert. What is being asked in the question? They are asking which of the statement is not correct. Not correct. B statement, it is correct. It is correct. Please be very, very, very particular about this. Ye wala galti many students will attempt. Many students will. The moment you see now that, okay, mera answer is matching, you will simply mark it. That's incorrect. Because they're asking which statements are not correct. Okay. Now, let's talk about perfectly competitive firm. What happens for competitive firm? Monopoly to MR equal to MC karta hai. But perfectly competitive firm, they equate P equal to MC. So for perfectly competitive firm, PC should be equal to alpha. So this statement and they're asking which statements to the two consumer surplus are equal. Now let me explain you the concept of consumer surplus once. So what happens? Now this is your AR of a monopolist, right? Just give me a second. Okay, so this is AR of a monopolist. Just below the AR, you will see MR. This is AR equal to MR of a perfectly competitive firm. Now, for a perfectly competitive firm, He has set his price. Okay. So for a perfectly competitive firm, Akshita, we have an equilibrium where price is just simply equal to marginal cost. So the marginal cost is given to me as alpha. So the price he will charge will be also alpha. Now, when I go and see here, for a perfectly competitive firm, the AR and MR are equal. And that's equal to the price they charge. So the price they're charging is alpha. Ye price they're charging. This is for perfectly competitive firm. A monopolist is charging a higher price. What is happening for a monopolist? For a monopolist, he charges where MR is equal to MC. So just for example, if I consider MC also to be a horizontal line, because it is given to me constant, a monopolist will equate MR to MC. He will equate it here. This is his quantity. And he will take this to the AR curve. This is his price. So understand, for competitive firm, AR, MR, MC, price, all equal, and they're equal to this alpha. For monopolist, MR and MC, MC alpha he hai. MC is given to me constant. So for monopolist, MR is equal to MC here. This is the quantity he will sell, and the price at which he will sell is this price that he gets from the AR curve. And this price we have found out as this, alpha E upon 1 plus E. So this is the price we have, alpha E upon 1 plus E. This is the price at which he will sell. A perfectly competitive firm will sell here. Iska quantity will be this. Now, the consumer surplus is area above price below demand curve. And the demand curve is the AR curve. So for monopolist, the consumer surplus is this, ye wala part. For a perfectly competitive firm, uska price to ye tha na, so his consumer surplus is this. This is his entire consumer surplus. Sometimes in exam, जैसे इस question में नहीं आया, but if they would have asked you, calculate deadweight loss, then it would have been this area. The smaller triangle, this is my deadweight loss. So it would have been half into base. Base ये है triangle का. QC minus QM into height. Height ये है triangle. So alpha E upon 1 plus E minus alpha. This can also come in exam. Calculate deadweight loss. So this is DW. Achha, suppose they ask you in exam how deadweight loss changes as elasticity changes. Matlab, you must differentiate this with respect to E and check. All concepts can come in, right? So we understand that actually this consumer surplus, this is much more for a perfectly competitive firm. और ये सच बात है क्योंकि perfectly competitive firm is going ahead and selling at marginal cost. It's not making any profit. So it is selling to more people at a lower price. Therefore, it is making consumers happy. Now the question is asking that what happens when elasticity is -2? Are the two consumer surplus equal or not? So let me just put -2 here. Let us go back here and put -2 in this. If I put -2 here, what is going to happen? Let's check. So I'm going to have this as alpha minus When we put E, PM, consumer, because so you can just go ahead. Then PM, PM, right? Okay. Coming. Just give me a yes or a no. Am I audible? Okay, great, fine. So, at E equal to -2, what we saw is that these two are not equal. When prices are not equal, consumer surpluses cannot be. So this is incorrect. Now come to the last statement. For E closer to -1, ratio increases. Now just think about this. When will the ratio of the consumer surplus increase? As this gap increases. Just say, for example, yes, tell me.
Ma'am, can you please explain the concept how prices is not equal, then consumer surpluses are not equal? I'm not getting it.
Because this is the consumer surplus, right? This triangle is the consumer surplus. Area above price, below the demand curve. So if price don't coincide, the area above price cannot coincide. This is consumer surplus for monopoly. And this is the consumer surplus of a perfectly competitive firm. So unless you bring this price here, the two consumer surplus can't be equal. Right? Is that making sense?
Yes, ma'am, got it.
Okay. So now, take the opposite of it. When will consumer surplus be very different from each other? When the prices are very different from each other. So, if this price that the monopolist charges, if this price keeps on increasing, जैसे ये price अगर यहाँ हो या यहाँ हो या यहाँ हो, then the consumer surplus with monopolist will be very, very less. It will just be this much. And that with another firm will be very, very high. With the perfectly competitive firm will be high. So perfectly competitive firm will be this much. So if the gap between the price of a monopolist and price of perfectly competitive firm is high, then in that case, the consumer surplus gap will be high. If consumer surplus gap is high, the ratio between the two consumer surplus will be high. Now, if I just go back and check here, the fourth statement says, as E is closer to -1, then this ratio will increase. Let me just take a limit and tend E to -1 for this price. For the price alpha E upon 1 plus E. I can rewrite this as alpha 1 upon 1 by E plus 1, dividing numerator and denominator by E. If E is -1, ये वाला -1 होता है. So this will be alpha upon 1 minus 1, alpha by 0, which will be infinity. If this is infinite, the price charged by monopolist is infinite, which means it is very, very high, then the gap between price of competitive, which was alpha, and price of monopolist, this gap will be maximum. Because monopolist is charging the largest price possible. And if this gap is maximum, that means इस केस में तो consumer surplus एकदम minimum होगा, and इसमें consumer surplus maximum होता है with a competitive firm. So which means that this ratio will be very, very high, the ratio of the two things, minimum by maximum. So this is correct, that as you go closer and closer to it, the ratio will be affected. The ratio will accordingly change. So the only two statements that are incorrect is A and C. Come to the next question. The total variable cost is given to you this. The total fixed cost is this. Value of B for which MC is minimum. I'll tell you what mistake students made last time. They found out total variable cost as x cube minus bx square. So what is going to happen to marginal cost? Marginal cost is how TVC changes as x changes. So this will be 3x square minus 2bx. And they just equated this to 0. This is incorrect. अभी तो marginal cost निकाली है. They're asking for which value of B marginal cost is minimum. I have to minimize this. How will I minimize it? Differentiate it again and equate it to 0. So if I differentiate marginal cost again, what will I get? D of MC by dx, I will get as 6x minus 2b. I will equate this to 0. So B will be 6x by 2, which will be 3x. And x is given to me as 16. So this will be 3 into 16, 48, and that is the value. Very simple question. Double differentiate करके आंसर निकालना था. Fixed cost का कुछ भी काम नहीं था. Marginal cost can be found out only by variable cost. You do not need fixed cost for it. That is the answer to this question. Okay. Now come to the next question. Achha, here is the thing which I liked about them, that sometimes if you look at the options, what they have done is, although they have asked equilibrium quantity, but even if students have written equilibrium price, students, they've reverted the function. They've got marks for it. right? So, which is a good thing that you're getting marks in either case. So let us just try and see what this question is saying. And then I will tell you what two answers were accepted by IIT. So first of all, you're given a cost function of individual firm. So CI is given to you as 0.25 QI square plus 2QI. So marginal cost is how cost changes as your quantity changes, as QI changes. And when you will differentiate this, then what will you go ahead and get? You will go ahead and get 0.25 into 2QI plus 2. This is what you will go ahead and get. So solving this gives me 0.5 QI plus 2. This is my marginal cost. Now, we know that, बहुत ध्यान से समझो, marginal cost is supply curve of a firm. तो ये suppose firm 1 का MC है, ये इसका supply curve हो गया. ऐसे ही firm 2 का marginal cost, firm 3 का marginal cost, and so on. ये सब similar है. They are same firms. And there are 150 such firms. Always remember, what we do is to find the market supply, we add individual supplies together. So which means that you take a price and you ask, अच्छा इस price पे इसकी quantity Q1 है, इसकी quantity Q2 है, इसकी quantity Q3 है, तो इस price पे supply will be Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 and so on. So this is for firm I. This is the supply curve. So can I write this at that is price pay, because marginal cost ki jagah I can write price. That's the supply curve equation. So I can say that at this price, this is the quantity. If I solve for QI from here, what will I get? I will go ahead and get that QI is equal to P minus 2 by 0.5. So this will be 10 by 5. So 2P minus 2. So 2P minus 2. So I will get that QI is equal to 2P minus 4. This is the quantity supplied by any one firm. मतलब Q1 ये है, Q2 ये है, Q3 ये है, and so on. How many firms are there? 150 firms. So quantity supplied in the market will be summation of QIs, I from 1 to 150. I have to add the supply of all these firms together. So which means that this is going to be 150 times the supply of one firm. So this can be 150 into 2. P minus 2. So 300 P minus 2. This is my quantity supplied. Now, you have a quantity supplied function. You also have a quantity demanded function from here. This one. Equate demand to supply, get the answer. So quantities supplied is this. Let's find P from here. What will be P? P will be Q by 300 plus 2. And what is the demand side equation giving me? It is giving me 110 minus 0.01 Q. So this is giving me quantity demanded is giving me 10 minus 0.01 Q, which means it is going ahead and giving me 10 minus, this is P, 1 by 100 Q. Just equate the two together. So you will get Q by 300 plus 2 is equal to 10 minus Q by 100. So Q by 300 plus Q by 100 is equal to 8. And if you solve this, you will get Q by 300 plus 3Q by 300 equal to 8. 4Q by 300 equal to 8. So you will get your Q as 8 into 300 by 4, which means you will get Q as 600. So this is going to be your quantity supplied in the market. Q will be 600. So pretty simple question, but it again uses the two properties. First, marginal cost is the supply curve of the firm. Second, whenever you have to do and find the supply of the market, you have to use the rule of horizontal summation. Adding quantities of individual firms together will give you the quantity to be supplied in the market. That's what is important. Okay, so this gives us 600. Acha, agar ye 600 hai, so what is going to be the price? You can put P here. And if you put this, you will get 10 minus 1 by 100 into 600, and you will get the answer as 4, which means 4 exactly. But they have, if you check the options, they have gone ahead and given 4 also. So 4 is also correct. And 600 is also correct, which is rare. But you will see they say 600 or 4. So it's a good thing. Okay. Now, come to the next question. I will take this at the end because I want to explain one more concept here, which is not asked. Let's go to the next one first. Given the production function, Q is equal to 6 root L and L as root W, and you are gone ahead and given that unit price is 243, then profit maximizing value of W is. Okay, so to do this question, let's find profit. Profit is price into quantity minus cost. So price is given to you as 243. Quantity is given to you as 6 root L. And cost is W into L. So this is your profit. Now, instead of L, we will use root W. So we will get this as 243 into 6. L ki jagah pe I will write root W minus W, root W. So I have transformed this entire question in terms of W. Now, once I transform this in terms of W, I just have to maximize the profit. So just go ahead and do that. So this will be 243 into 6, W to the power 1 by 4 minus W to the power 3 by 2. This is your profit. Now just say how pi changes as W changes. Just differentiate this. Minus 3 by 4 minus 3 by 2, W to the power 1 by 2 equal to 0. And this will be 243 into, this will be 1 by 4 now. So into 3 by 2, W to the power minus 3 by 4 minus 3 by 2, W to the power 1 by 2 equal to 0. So 243 W to the power minus 3 by 4 is equal to W to the power half. So 243 is equal to W to the power 5 by 4. So W is equal to 243 to the power 4 by 5, which means 81. Because this is 3 to the power 5. So this will give you 81 as the answer. So simple question. Everywhere just replace L with W and get the answer. Okay, now come to the next question. Let the production function be given by this, and cost of labor and capital be this, and total cost be 580. Then the maximum value of Q subject to the cost constraint is given by. Okay. So you are given that R is 40. W is 30. Total cost is 580. This is what is gone ahead and given to you. And they're asking you to go ahead and minimize maximize the value of Q subject to the cost constraint. So zara bahut aasan hai. So I will just write my function here. So I want to maximize Q subject to the cost constraint, which means subject to WL plus RK equal to C. So maximize. Q की जगह पे I will write root L square plus K square subject to W की जगह पे I will write 30 L plus 40 K equal to 580. Right? And either you can form Lagrange if you want, or you can do by method of substitution, up to you. So method of substitution क्या होगा कि from here you can find the value of N or K and put it back here and just maximize it. So you can also use MRTS is equal to MPL by MPK. Everything is fine, up to you. All techniques are correct. So if I find MRTS, I will differentiate this with respect to L. So I will get 1 upon 2 root L square plus K square into 2L. If I differentiate this with respect to K, I will get 1 upon 2 root L square plus K square into 2K. Ratio is equal to W by R. W is given to me as 30 and R is given to me as 40. So what will I get? I will get L by K equal to 3 by. So I will get 4L is equal to 3. Now I have been able to find that 4L is equal to 3K. I can put it here. So 30. Instead of L, I will write 3 by 4K. So 30, 3 by 4K plus 40K equal to 580. So I'm going to get this equal to 90K plus 160K equal to 580 into 4. So 250K equal to 580 into 4. So K will be 580 into 4 by, and L will be 3 by 4K tha na? So L is going to be 3 by 4, 580 into 4 by 250. So 580 into 3 by 250. These would be your L and K. Just go ahead and let's just use the calculator quickly and solve these. So this is going to give me 580 into 4 divided by 250. This is 9.28. And this is going to be 580 into 3 divided by 250. This is going to be 6.9. Once you have found out this, just find output. So Q was L square plus K square under root. So this is going to be 9.28 whole square plus 6.96 whole square under root. And when you do that, you will get 11.5. So the answer to this question is approximately 11.5. So round off to 2 figure. So 11.599 aaya tha. We can write as 11.60. Right. Okay. Now come to the next question. In a market, two firm 1 and 2, inverse demand function is given to you, costs are given to you, then total profit earned by both firms assuming competitive situation. So these firms are competing with each other, but they're asking about the total profit. Now, each firm can own, yes.
Ma'am, in the last question, अगर हम लोग इसको यूटिलिटी की तरह देखें तो एल स्क्वायर प्लस के स्क्वायर की तरह है। अगर मैम इसको देखें ये दोनों ही गुड्स है, अगर इसको अगर ऐसे समझे तो मैम जिसका प्राइस कम है अगर हम लोग सिर्फ उसी को यूज करें तो ये काम नहीं होगा वहां पे।
अगर जिसका प्राइस कम है सिर्फ उसको यूज करें,
हाँ अगर मैम देखिए जैसे कि यहाँ पे लेबर का प्राइस 30 रुपीज है।
बट दीज आर नॉट सब्स्टिट्यूट गुड्स ना,
ओके।
ये सब्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ ईच अदर थोड़ी है। आई मीन व्हाई विल आई जस्ट यूज वन ऑफ देम? I will use both of them because my production function depends on both labor and capital. So just using one of them is not going to help me in that case. Huh, if you go ahead and you just go ahead and do this, what you suggest. So if my total cost is 580 and I just use labor in this case divided by 30 karke, and
मैम दिस विल मैक्सिमाइज आवर प्रोडक्शन, क्वांटिटी मैक्सिमाइज हो जाएगी।
let me think. That can be done. So what is the output you're getting in that case? Can you try this? 58 by 3
मैम 19.33
whole square under root आ रहा है क्या?
नो मैम ये पूरा क्या बोलते हैं राउंड फिगर के तौर पे आ रहा है 19.33, यानी ये स्क्वायर रूट हटा के सारा।
नहीं, but why would I take out the square root? Square root would still be there. Now my q function I will not change. I will keep my q function as L square plus k. I will not do a transformation here because if I have to do a transformation, वो q square की value देगा, q की value नहीं देगा. The monotonic transformations only work as long as you have to find slopes. Slope remain unchanged. But when I have to find the value of quantity, then in that case, I can't go ahead and do that. I mean, I have to use the original production function. So if you think labor is cheaper, then you can go ahead and employ 58 by 3 units of labor. So if I do 58 divided by 3, it gives me 19.33. This gives me 19.33. You're right. Okay, I think that can be done in this case. Then you're right. I can go ahead and apply that because it is giving me more units of output. And I think there was another answer. Was it this only? The other answer was it 19?
एक्चुअली मैम ये हम जैसा आपने बताया ना अभी वैसा हम आपको करके भेजे थे एक बार, बट आप उसको फिर बोले कि हम लोग why we produce 12 यूनिट जब हम लोग 19.33 प्रोड्यूस कर
Correct. I get that. Yes, you're right. We can go ahead and get the 19 as answer. That would be more appropriate. You're right. It didn't hit me, but you're right. This is a concave production function. So concave
Yes,
may
ma'am, yes,
we
ma'am.
should be, I mean, if I go ahead and produce, if I go ahead and I make this function, ये ऐसा है. So if I have my ISO cost here, and if I take labor here and capital here, then the highest ISO quant will hit here. So I will use only labor. You're correct. Let's make a correction to this. I think so. We should not be using MRTS in this case, and we should only be using labor since this is a concave production. Okay, and just use labor and just go ahead and put K to 0. Thank you. That's correct. That will make more sense. Okay. So in the last question, then we will go ahead and we will equate marginal cost to marginal revenue. Question number 60. I will go ahead and say MR equal to MC. So MR1 equal to MC1 and MR2 equal to MC2. That's the only thing that you have to do. So if you notice in this question, my price is 120 minus 0.5 Q1 plus Q2. So price is 120 minus 0.5 Q1 plus Q. And the total revenue of firm 1 will be this. Okay. So based on this, the marginal revenue of firm 1 will be this. You just differentiate this and you will get this. This as the marginal of firm. Kaise? This is 120 into Q1. So its differentiation will be 120. Then this is 0.5 Q1 square. So this will be 0.52 Q1. And this is 0.5 Q2 Q1. So this is going to be 0.5 Q2. This is your marginal revenue of firm 1. You equate this to marginal cost of firm 1. And marginal cost of firm 1 is given to you as 20. So this is going to be 20. So when you solve this, you will get 120 equal to 0.5 into 2Q1 plus Q. 100, sorry. This will go here and this will go here. So you will get 200 is equal to 2Q1 plus Q. This can be your equation 1. Now solve for the other equation, equation number 2. So I will equate MR2 equal to MC2. अच्छा, marginal revenue of firm 2 निकालने का जरूरत नहीं है. You can just use this marginal revenue of firm 1 and replace Q1 by Q2 and Q2 by Q1. They're similar firms. So I will get 120 minus 0.5 to Q2 plus Q1 equal to marginal cost of firm 2. What will that be? So total cost is given as 10 plus 0.5 Q2 square. So marginal cost, total cost is given as 10 plus 0.5 Q2 square. So marginal cost ke liye just differentiate this. After you differentiate this, you're going to go ahead and you're going to get Q2. So if you solve this, you will get 120 equal to Q2 plus 0.5 Q1 plus Q2. So you will get 2 Q2 plus 0.5 Q1 equal to 120. This will be your equation number. Now you have two equations, two variables. Solve these simultaneously. And when you will solve these simultaneously, you will get Q1 star as 80 and you will get Q2 star as price nikal lena. Price was 120 minus half Q1 plus Q2. So 120 minus half 120, which will be 60. Now just find the profits of the firm. So profit of firm 1 plus profit of firm 2 will be price into total quantity. एक 80 बेच रहा है, एक 40. So price into total quantity minus cost of firm 1 was 20 Q1 minus cost of firm 2 was 10 plus 0.5 Q2 square. So price is 60. Total quantity is 120 minus 20. Q1 is 80 minus 10 minus half. Q2 is 40 squared up. When you will solve this, you will get the answer as 4790. So this is going to be the profit of the firm together. So the answer, this question is 4790. Right? Now, let's just go back to this question. An individual faces an uncertain prospect. Wealth could be 10 lakh with probability 0.5 and 7 with 0.25. You're given the utility function as WQ. It says when will the individual buy full insurance? देखो, अगर हम actuarially fair insurance check कर पाए, हर चीज हम देखेंगे इसमें. सबसे पहले तो ये जानना जरूरी है कि वो कौन सा प्रीमियम के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. The premium that they are talking about is actually the insurance premium, not the risk premium. Supposedly they would have asked me about the risk premium. Then in that case, I would have done the following. First, I would have found out utility from expected wealth, expected utility from wealth, and I would have found the gap between the two, and that would have been my risk premium, right? That would have been your risk premium. So risk premium ke liye they would have done this. Sometimes in the question they will use this interchangeably. मतलब पूछ तो insurance premium रहे होंगे, मतलब they will be asking about insurance premium, but they will just use the word premium. So you have to be very sure कि क्या मैं risk premium निकाल भी सकती हूँ इस question में या नहीं. So what is expected wealth? Expected wealth is basically the probabilistic wealth. So EW, देखो, either I am getting 10 lakh or 7 lakh. 10 lakh का probability was 0.75. 7 lakh का probability was 0.25. This is my expected wealth. Utility from expected wealth मतलब यहां से जो value आएगी उसको मैं अपने utility function में डालूंगी, which is W cube. So यहां से मेरा expected wealth, it came down to be 9.25. So utility from expected wealth is going to be 9.25 cube. This is going to be utility from expected wealth. अब expected utility क्या होता है? Expected utility. This is when you just find expectation of utility directly. So with 0.75, I am getting a wealth of 10. इससे utility कितनी होगी? 10 to the power 3. W cube is the function, right? And with 0.25, I am getting wealth of 7. इससे expected wealth कितना होगा? 7 to the power 3. This is my expected utility. The gap between the two. That is your risk. पूछा नहीं है question में. I am just telling you. Next thing. This is the first thing that you should understand. Second thing. See, if I know that my insurance is actuarially fair insurance, मतलब negative and positive side का expected value 0 आता है. If I know that is happening, then in that case, you can simply find insurance premium by doing probability of loss into value of loss. This can simply be used to find insurance premium. But this can only be used if it is actuarially fair insurance. Only then you can use probability of loss into value of loss equal to insurance premium. इस केस में मेरे को लॉस तो हो रहा है 3 lakhs का, बट ईदर आई एम गेटिंग 7 और 10. नेगेटिव कहीं नहीं मिल रहा है. ऐसा नहीं हो रहा कि या तो -20 या +20. That kind is not given. तो मैं expected wealth नहीं निकाल सकती हूँ to be 0. So I cannot use this formula as well in this question. इसमें क्या करेंगे? In such kind of questions, the only thing you can do is, when you will ask this question, when will I be indifferent between buying and not buying insurance? I will be indifferent between buying and not buying insurance if my utility remains the same. So when I don't buy insurance, no insurance, then either I will get 10 or I will get 7. So my expected utility will be this. Expected utility. And when I buy insurance, तो भाई इंश्योरेंस के केस में तो प्रीमियम हमेशा देना पड़ेगा. whether you go ahead and you buy or you don't buy. Insurance में premium has to be given. So when you buy insurance, 10 की जगह 10 minus P बचेगा. And when you buy insurance, तो 7 में जो 3 lakh का loss हुआ था, वो तो insurance company will repay it to you. So you will get those 3 back. And you just have to pay premium in that case also. So you will be with the same situation. आपके पास wealth हमेशा 10 minus P ही बचेगी, irrespective of whatever happens. So my wealth in this case will be 10 minus P whole cube. What is the maximum premium I can pay? When my expected utility in both the situation is the same. यहाँ से expected utility की value I'm getting 835.75. So I can pay a maximum premium when the two are equal to each other. This means 10 minus P is equal to, this will give you 9.419 when you will do its cube root. So your P will be 10 minus 9.419. This will be 0.58. This in lakhs, of course. This is the premium that you would be paying. So uncertainty chapter is very important. It will come in exam. You have to go ahead and understand kuch hi concepts hai. What is actuarially fair insurance? What is premium, risk premium? What is insurance premium? How to find insurance premium in general cases, jaise isme kiya, and how to find insurance premium if I know it is actuarially fair. Just use the formula PL into value of loss. In all your mock papers, I am trying to include at least 1 to 2 questions based on uncertainty so that we cover all types of uncertainty questions. But this chapter is important. 2021, it came for 4 to 5 marks. This year also, 2022 also it came, which means they will focus on calculating premium. Okay. So we'll stop here for today and then we will meet next time. We will take all macroeconomics questions. We'll try and solve those together. Okay, thank you.
मैम
yes.
मैम आपने जो बोला इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम फाइंड करने के लिए, ये ज्यादातर केस में हम लोग किसके लिए फाइंड करेंगे? ये इसके लिए क्या, जो रिस्क न्यूट्रल पर्सन है उसके लिए?
नहीं, this is not, he was not risk neutral. ये तो W cube function था.
हाँ यस मैम, ये तो पता है, ये W क्यूब है, बट लेकिन मैम मॉक पेपर में आपने क्वेश्चन दिया था सूरज वाला, यूटिलिटी W इज
correct, but actually उसमें risk premium नहीं था. I just used the word premium, I think so. मतलब I just picked it from one of the past year questions of some other exam. Actually, we had to find insurance premium in that. So if you see, the formula I used was PL into the loss. So it's not risk premium, it is the insurance premium he will be willing to pay.
Okay, अगर मैम वहाँ पे अगर रिस्क प्रीमियम लिखा हो तो मैम हम लोग वहाँ पे डायरेक्ट 0 नहीं दे सकते हैं क्या? क्योंकि वहाँ पे तो
अगर रिस्क प्रीमियम दिया हुआ तो yes, we can go ahead and give the value 0 if it is a risk neutral individual. But make sure वो risk premium, complete risk premium लिखा हो. If it is only premium, consider it as an insurance premium.
क्योंकि मैं वहाँ पे मॉक पेपर में पूरा कंप्लीटली रिस्क प्रीमियम ही लिखा हुआ था ऐसे.
ठीक है. So I'll correct it, but I will make it to insurance premium. But if it is risk premium, then yes, for a risk neutral individual, it is supposed to be 0.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.